I think that is a general trend. At a lot of these restaurants, the food, when you dined in, I always thought tasted better. I will start recording. Let me start. Where did I do this? Recording right here. Record. How did I do that?
Recording in progress.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the West Side chapter of the Chicago Computer Society. It is our first February meeting of the month, and as typical, we'll have our open forum, and then we'll go into our presentation. Fingers crossed that Terry is able to get our presentation going, and then we'll wrap it up after that. Let's start out with any questions people might have in the open forum. Harry, I see you. Wow, look at this red, white, and blue around you. I mean, it's like what is this? The new pattern behind him.
Rainbow. That's the picture frame.
Rainbow.
It's a video filter, but I was trying to get rid of that reflection and I haven't found anything that'll do it yet.
Okay. I thought you had a question that it showed up like that. All right, so who has the first question of the evening? Nobody. I can't believe this. Nobody's got a question. Nobody's got a problem here. I mean, my feet ache, and you want to hear about my toes? No, I don't think you want to hear about my toes, but Bob wants to tell us about his headphones that he's got there. Bob, what headsets are you using?
That is a HS35 stereo from Corsair gaming headphones.
The gaming headphones. And why did you choose to go with those?
Because when I went to Target, they were relatively cheap and they had good features, and the value for the price seemed quite good.
And what was the price you paid?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember. It was something like half of what you normally pay for them. I think normally they're over 100. But
so you got it for like $50?
Somewhere between 35 and 50, I think.
Nice deal. And you're happy with them?
Oh, yeah, they're great. They work as advertised.
They work as advertised, and they don't have much of a lag at all?
Oh, no problem at all. Any issues I have with sound in Windows have to do with the fact that I operate through a Thunderbolt port, and the internal sound uses a Realtek sound driver, and those are always problematic.
Okay, and how does this plug in? Via USB or what?
This one takes a standard headphone jack. I had microphone plus headphones, and it could use the internal, but right now I'm doing it through a hub, which is attached to Thunderbolt 3.
So it uses a micro jack, right? It's not an old big hat jack.
It's similar to this, only a bit longer.
Okay.
This is standard for speakers, but it's longer because it has a microphone.
Got it.
So, mini.
Yes, Stan.
I just wanted to ask, can you now hear yourself when you're doing something, when you're speaking?
Yeah, I can hear myself, but the trouble is I can also hear my voice as it projects out into my room, which has a lot of echo. And so I think I'm being either louder or softer than I really am. I don't have my normal in-the-room hearing.
Okay. Because when I go to record something, I'll be doing the recording and talking. Everybody else can hear me, but I don't have any sound on my recording when I go to play it back.
Any sound of yourself or any sound of anything?
No, of myself only.
Well, your sound of yourself would be coming into your ears when you're speaking. Yeah. Or am I missing this part?
Well, on a recording, I want to hear what I did, what I said, and I can't do that.
That's a microphone setting probably in whatever software you're using to record with.
Well,
And
So,
usually it's related to
Dan,
your
are you doing
webcam.
this with the headset on or just speaking?
No, just speaking.
So
It's
I'm kind of
designed,
lost here. You speak into a microphone in an open air environment. Why can you not hear yourself when you're speaking?
I can hear me, but when I go back on the recording,
Oh,
I'm blanked out. And that,
oh,
you know, that's because they don't want feedback. So,
What you're recording then is using a single soundtrack, and it's not mixing in the two soundtracks together.
likely,
For that,
I don't know.
for that, you may need something a bit more sophisticated, some kind of a mixer program.
Well, I
got it.
was wondering if I just plugged in my headphones, the computer, I'm using the microphone on the computer. It should allow my voice to then be heard and recorded. So when I play back my recordings, I can hear myself.
It's only in a multi-track setup,
Oh,
right?
really? Okay. I don't know.
Bob, is
What
that
do you
right?
what are you using for the recording? Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay, then you have to understand for microphone and speaker, you may have multiple settings under audio with a drop down box for each section. And in some cases, you are not being picked up because of the current setting, and changing it to one of the other options, suddenly what you're missing will be there.
All right. But that, as I'm told, it interferes then. You get crosstalk or whatever because
Yeah, that's why I use a headset, because if I had my webcam going, I'd be picking up all kinds of feedback.
Yeah.
So any out in the room microphone is not a good idea if you want your voice and something else to mix well.
Yeah, well, I'm just using the computer's microphone, you know, nothing special.
Yes, but when you plug in a headset that's got a mic, that means you have two mics. It may be
Right.
looking at one mic and not the mic that would pick up your voice. That's why I'm saying you have multiple selections for microphones and for the speakers. And you have to find the right setting when you use the headset versus the webcam camera and your built-in microphone on the computer. Those are two separate different ways of picking up sound and projecting sound into your room or into the headset.
Okay, it just says system sound on most of the settings that I use.
Sometimes that works, but sometimes you can't do it that way. When I plug in my headset, I have to change my audio settings. When I do not use it and use the webcam camera and microphone and separate speakers like I'm doing right now, it's a different setting. So I have to adjust depending on how I am using my headset or not, and I want it recorded. When I forget to do that, I'll have similar situations like you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I know I've had people record me and then email me the recording, and then it works.
That's
But when I
because
record it, then it doesn't.
you're still projecting, but it's not picking up the recording on the local machine. And
Yeah.
that's where you got to have change the setting based on whether you're using the headset or not using the headset. And
Okay.
it's a headache, but the best thing to do is to start up Zoom with the way you're going to use it. Try out a video, stop it, and play it back. If it's got what you want, fine. If it doesn't have what you want, then you got to change the settings and try it again.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Give it a try.
Can you also do that through the settings on Windows and go to settings and system and sound?
I've never used it there. If you're using Zoom to record things with, use the audio settings in Zoom. if the option isn't there, then you have to go back to Windows and find out why, such as under privacy settings, you turned off the camera and or the microphone, and there are some additional settings under microphone, what apps are allowed and what apps are not. And Zoom is usually a default at the bottom of the list. But if somehow Windows is blocking it, then you got to debug it from there. But normally speaking, whether I'm using Zoom or the OBS to do the recording, I can have this audio issue like he's talking about, and you have to adjust your settings accordingly before you want to do the official recording.
Yeah, and Zoom does have, when you flip up to the audio settings panel, it has a microphone test and it has a speaker test. And you can tell what it is picking up by way of microphone if you speak into it.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't guarantee everything's going to record the way you want it, but
Right.
it's a test.
Yeah.
That's a complicated one to do.
Oh, there's a more complicated problem too that I have. I'm trying to record myself, just by myself, not broadcasting it anywhere or anything like that, and then capturing it, and then being able to hear myself going the other way.
All you have to
Try. I've got two cameras, and one of them works just perfectly. The other one, have you ever been in a barber chair where they've got a mirror in front of you and in back of you?
Behave.
And it's a hallway of multiple images.
Well, when you're
That's what I get.
when you're trying to record with a Zoom, all you have to do is launch Zoom before you get into the meeting. Have your audio video all set up the way you want it. Then you sign in to the Zoom. Say I want to do a Zoom meeting all by myself. I'm not inviting anybody. You can make all kinds of tests, stop them, and then review what got recorded and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, that whole mirrors effect, that is video feedback, which means you've got two video sources that are feeding on each other, just the
Right.
same as you can get audio feedback.
Okay, that was a good question.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
New question, new direction? Nobody. Wow. Okay. Anybody buy anything new? And I know the answer to this one. Because Stan, he's not leaving the house, so he has everything delivered. What kind of concoction things have you bought in the last 2 months, Stan?
Well, the treadmill for one, and that's fed by
Is that a Peloton?
Wi-Fi. You know,
Is that a Peloton one?
it's not Peloton, but it's another brand that's supposedly better. And I'm able to choose any workout that I want, you know, and then control it to a limited extent. Sometimes, like when I was doing the canyons in Sedona, it would try every time that the path went down, it would lower the treadmill bar. So I'm like going down. And then when I'm going up, climbing up a hill, mountain, whatever, it would do that same thing, but in reverse. I'd be climbing a hill. And then as I walk, you know.
And do you like that?
I love it. The best thing that I've seen so far, and that it does exactly what I want it to do in the way I want it. And that is walking in Central Park. Now, mostly that's flat, but there's significant hills there as well. That's in New York, Central Park, by the way.
Watch out for muggers.
Yeah, right. Well, there's no muggers, and sometimes I'm walking right through buildings. Like if I devise a path through a museum, I'm all of a sudden walking through a wall and into the museum. It's
Oh, that's
bizarre. It is. It's really bizarre. But
So when you're walking, I tell you, when you're walking on the paths in Sedona, does it somehow put rocks in your shoe or get sand in your shoes?
no, but you'd be surprised how you feel like you're there. Because I'm very well familiar with Sedona. I've hiked most of the trails there. And when I get on the trail, it takes me exactly where I'm expecting to be. And, rock on both sides and all of that. It's just a fun thing to do, I'll tell you.
Okay.
And you can set your mileage rate up to, I think it's 15.
So what's your mileage at? Are you averaging now when you do it?
I usually go about 3 miles an hour because I'm walking, I'm not running.
Well, that's all right.
My son takes it up to 15 and 16.
Well, that's your son.
Yeah, well, he's a runner.
He's
He
not
likes
our
to
age.
train on it. So he does a lot of that kind of stuff. But you can set it like he's been to Paris and I haven't. So when I was walking along the Seine on my machine and I got to the Eiffel Tower, he's standing behind me watching what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, I'm at the top of the tower, looking over all of Paris in all directions. It's just
Wow,
really,
and you didn't even have to pay for the elevator ride.
no. And I walked down into the pyramids. I walked up the pyramids. And it's just a lot of fun, I'll tell you.
So
It's good motivation
did this come with a TV screen or did you have to
Oh, no. It came with a TV screen and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And I have Google Maps on it, so I can set my walks anywhere in the world.
And how much did this thing cost you?
Well,
Round number.
it probably was more than $50.
More than $50. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe a lot more.
A lot more.
$50.
All right. So I like this. So Stan at least went out and got a super high-tech walking treadmill with Wi-Fi and with. Do you have to pay a subscription to these things?
Right now, no, but you have to pay a subscription after, I think, a year or something like that. But I think what I'm going to be doing is taking information off Google Maps and off the internet and putting my walks together that way, and then deciding what I want to go to and
Okay.
walk around, rather than go with what they do. Because a lot of what they do, I have walking routines. I don't like to run, but I have walking routines, and those are just fine. But when you get into a running routine, it's like you're not looking at the scenery anymore. Now you're looking at some guy that's going, hey, come on, stretch a little bit more bounce, little bit this, little bit. Oh, no way. I don't want that stuff. Now, my son uses that and it works out just fine because they will go fast and slow and all of that, and he's running, but he runs marathons, so you know.
What brand is this treadmill?
I'd have to go down and look at it. I don't remember. It's not a Peloton, but I'll go look at it. I'll be back.
Yeah, during the break you can do that. Okay.
Well, I'm just breaking right now to go look at it.
All right. And so while he's looking at that, anyone else got anything new that they'd like to tell us about? Nobody. I know that Terry got Office 365, but he can't find it. So he can't tell us about Office 365. He doesn't know where it's at. And Terry, we can't hear you because you're muted. You're still muted. There you go.
I sent you the stuff on Microsoft 365. Now it doesn't come up, so I don't know. I'll have to, we'll have to work on it.
Yeah. Okay.
I have stuff in Word.
I always thought that Office 365 it's all on the web and it loads just some local things locally, and so it's unless you're on the wrong machine, it should be there just by typing in PowerPoint, right? Should come up. Stan, what were you going to say?
Oh, it's a Nordic track.
Nordic track. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nordic track.
Yeah,
Which model?
I have, I don't know.
Okay, it's the Poof model. We got that.
I don't know. According to my son, it's the best one.
All right.
We looked at other brands and all kinds of things, and we actually bought two of them. And one of them is in Washington for my daughter, and the other one is here for actually my wife, because she needs to get out and do some exercise, and she won't go walking outside. So
Okay.
she runs that, and I run it in between, and then he runs it at night.
Got it.
So.
All right. Well, that's good, Stan. Thanks for sharing that with us at Nordic Track. Who else has got it? Anybody else last minute things? Nobody got anything new. Carl hasn't gotten anything. Aldo, Jim, nothing.
Wait, okay.
Yep.
I did get a Toshiba 1 gigabyte, and basically for backup external hard drive.
How big?
1 gigabyte. One terabyte.
Okay,
Right.
1 terabyte. Just the 1 terabyte?
Yes.
Just one?
That's all I need. Okay, I'm
Okay.
retired, right? So I'm not as busy as I used to be. And basically for the computer, it's basically doing the backup image. It's got into Macrium, but I'm still with Cobian. And it's one quick question: when to format them, which format would be the best? NTFS, exFAT?
Anyone want to chime in? When you got this drive, it should have came already formatted.
It did.
Then
But
you just leave it alone.
Okay, I got a whole bunch of external hard drives, and anywhere from 80 and up, basically for pictures, this and that, and then reading up on hard drives. It depending on the size of it, depends which format you would use. So some are exFAT, some FAT32, and then NTFS.
Well, the format that you use on a hard drive depends on two things. First, the size of the files that you will be storing, because for larger files, NTFS is pretty much needed. And it also depends on what your software is producing. Cobian may still be using a different format, but Macrium Reflect, for example, uses NTFS.
Okay.
And it also, if you're going to be opening these up and using them on a Vista machine or an XP machine, that comes into play in terms of compatibility. So, but if you're going to be only using it on like a Windows 10 and
Yeah.
up, compatibility is not an issue. NTFS would be your easiest one. BEXFAT is also a good one to use on some of the drives. I think like micro SDs and SD cards are EXFAT often. I don't know what else uses those. Anyone else know?
Well, I use NTFS primarily because most of my storage is MP4. And that's always worked well, better than FAT32.
Yeah, it's because they're big files. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the only time I do anything other than NTFS is if I'm doing Linux, which works better with Ext4. And that's just specific to Linux.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Grazie. Mille grazie.
Okay. And anyone else got anything new that they want to share? We know Al got a machine, but he's sending it back. He got a new Nook. It didn't pass his line of inspection when it came in, so he sent it back. Right, Al?
Right, I'm sending it back tomorrow.
Sending it back tomorrow. All right, anybody else? Okay. With that, I'd just like to remind everybody we are recording this and we'll post this on YouTube. We're ready to go into our presentation. Terry, are you ready?
Right. Well, first, I'll talk about the software brands. For business,
Terry, who are you?
I'm CPA, treasurer of Chicago Computer Society, and we have a CPA firm in Glen Ellen.
How many years you been a CPA?
How long? 40 years.
Yeah. How many?
40.
40 years.
1980. Yeah.
You were using an abacus back then, right?
Well, fingers and toes,
Fingers and toes.
Rapidly, yeah. So types of software. I did a presentation years ago for Jerry Sass, and they asked me to, do personal returns. So when I started off, I pulled up a capital gains worksheet, and half the people left. So obviously, I'm not here to, how to prepare, your own personal tax returns. So it didn't go over very well. The three main business types of software are UltraTax. I'll just talk about them. UltraTax, which is by CCS, but it goes great with accounting software. It's not so good independent. Intuit's Pro Series is good. And the other one is CCH's Pro System. It's difficult to use. Of course, like the Intuit Pro Series is good. As far as personal tax returns go, obviously TurboTax, very popular. Basically, with TurboTax, it asks you a bunch of questions, and you fill in the data and the numbers, and then TurboTax will decide where to put those items. Now, if you just have a simple W-2 and you rent or whatever, that's fine. But problem is, you get into stuff. TurboTax is going to probably put some stuff where you don't want it for your final tax return. So other than simple stuff, I wouldn't advise it. There's some other cheaper ones like Tax Act, but you pay for what you get with those. And then, of course, the other big one is H&R Block, which is okay, but the problem is when you run into problems, they will tell you to go to an H&R Block office, so then once you get in the H&R Block office, and they're going to run up all kinds of fees and probably end up finishing your tax return. So that's basically kind of a highlight on the various brands of tax software that are out there for either home or business use.
Hey, Terry? Hey, Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use TurboTax. You don't have to use the questions. You can go to the forms. If you know what forms you need, or if you import from last year and you're using the same forms, it'll propagate those forms for you. And you just go in and fill in the forms. And when you get it done, I'm sure the other ones do too, but TurboTax has an error checker that you can check for errors, and then it pinpoints where your errors are and points you to those spots in the forms.
Well, that's new. Probably, I mean, everything else is advanced. So I'm sure that I'm thinking 5 years back, but there's been a lot of advances since then. But but for most people using probably they don't know how to fill out the form, so that's basically they have to answer the questions. And the other thing is garbage in, garbage out. So a lot of people think if it comes out of the computer, it must be right. That's wrong. So there's probably a lot of lousy tax returns that are being e-filed. You want to go ahead with Stanford, the PowerPoint thing?
Yeah, I can pull up the PowerPoint on my end. When I can just ask this group, when I pull up, click on his PowerPoint that he sent me, it opens it up in PowerPoint. I actually wanted to show the slides by themselves and not using the app as like an editor. Can someone tell me what I need to do?
Well, just count up the first screen, and we'll just go through them.
You can
Okay.
go frame by frame.
Frame by frame, yeah.
That's what I meant, but it's giving me the editor. I guess that works.
Can't you go into slideshow mode?
Yeah.
Slideshow mode.
Isn't there
Down on the
icon?
bottom, there's a screen on the bottom.
Right.
There's a screen. Click on that. That's slideshow.
Office theme, slideshow.
Yeah, I apologize. I did the Microsoft 365.
Got it. I got it.
I can't seem to connect today for some reason.
Yeah, I got it.
Just advance one at a time manually.
I got it. I got this. Just give me a second here to share my desktop. Okay. Everyone can see this?
Yep.
Great.
All right.
Okay, well, it's me. So should I just say flip or whatever, or next? Yeah.
How do I flip?
Flip.
There it goes.
Okay. Two big IRS this year concentration are big items this year. One of these is cryptocurrency. They're really misspelled, but they're really concentrating on it. With cryptocurrency, what they want now is everybody to use property tax treatment. Like you buy something, and then you're either trading or you're purchasing for goods or sales proceeds. You have a gain or loss. If it's more than a year, you can have a capital gain. And so they're really people haven't been reporting it or have no idea how to report it. So they're really going to push that they want to see like a property tax treatment on this stuff, and they'll be looking at the returns for that. And they also now they're going to if you do a cryptocurrency transaction, they may issue a Form 1099-C. Just like when you sell real estate, you get a 1099-S. Now, well, it'll be probably on the larger dollar amounts, but you're going to get a 1099-C issued. This year, the IRS is way behind with COVID and everything else. A lot of the forms that you're going to get to do your tax are going to be slow coming, especially if there's the government involved. They're going to be slow in getting all of the 1099s out, like probably for mutual funds and other things like that. So it's going to be a slow season. There's only 6 IRS offices open right now. They're not in Illinois. The only one is near St. Louis. If you go in there, I should say that to the general public, they will only let taxpayers in who want to file the tax returns themselves, or else make payments. They don't want accountants in there, just taxpayers, and who are either filing a return or making payments. So it's
Terry,
going to be long. In fact, the
Terry,
IRS commissioners said this whole tax season is going to be a nightmare for the IRS. So
Terry,
and there's 6 to 9 months paper filed returns they haven't processed. They have like 6 million unprocessed tax returns, not payroll, but individual or business returns. So and tax lawyers are going nuts because they're writing all these letters to the IRS, and of course none of them are being acted on. And
Terry,
yeah,
who's going to issue the 1099-C for cryptocurrency?
probably that would be the I would think well, it could be either, but probably the seller, I would think.
So
what if receiving the money,
use a
probably.
kiosk? You know, they have these kiosks where you can buy and sell crypto. It's going to issue you a 1099-C?
Well, listen, on some, I would say on some transactions, yes. Others probably no. It's like with the 1099-S. Sometimes some brokers will issue a 1099-S. Other brokers don't do it. Keller Williams does not. I work with. They do not issue 1099-S's. Other firms, do issue them. So, but I mean, they want people to issue them, but they're not going to enforce it. Okay, so that's the one big area this year. Or go to the second one, back one. Topic 2.
It's this one. Here's 1, 2, 3. That's your next slide.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Maybe it's okay. Okay. Then, all right. Maybe it's come down. Okay. Basically, these are the income tax tables that are used for calculating your how much income tax you owe. As you can see, they have levels, layers. Like the first, you pay 10%, and when you have 0, but like then the next layer between 80 and 19, you pay the 1975 on that, and then you would pay which is what 60,000 times 12%, and you would add that onto that number onto the 19, so you'd end up with and then the same with layers. So each is layered And then here, like here, okay, on this one, on 71, you'd pay 29, and then you would take the difference between this one and this one and multiply that times 24%, and you would come up your tax. And then once you get over the 600,000 level, everything is this is your taxable income. Everything is taxed at 37%. Now, yeah, okay. So that's basically how the taxes are calculated. Next one. Well, there was one on. Hopefully, get to it on. The other big item is foreign bank accounts reporting, and that's the other big item. This one, I don't know. It was one of the ones in the PowerPoint. Well, all right. Let's just go ahead with this. Go back, Sanford. Then
I'm looking for foreign. I don't see foreign. You got topic 2. That's where you have it. I'll get to it. Right one. There it is.
okay. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Topic 2: foreign cash accounts. The other big item, obviously, with overseas money, Cayman Islands, the whole Switzerland, the whole thing. 2 forms needed. One, and these you can attach to the 1040. You know, the main your main personal tax return. One is Form 8938, and that's foreign bank account reporting. Basically, the IRS is now requiring all transactions over 10,000 in cash or equivalents be reported to the IRS. Obviously, they're going to be huge amounts. How much? Like people that do it all the time, but they're trying to track down where all the money overseas and that people aren't reporting, and so what they're going to the banks and the other, obviously the big brokers are going to have to supply all of this information to the IRS, and then when they have time, they will look these over. And so they're just trying to get as much as. I put out a thing about Irs Guidelines today. I thought it was cute. One of the items was report all income, you know, and then they're telling people to obviously e-file and do the direct deposit because they're 6 to 9 months behind in processing paper returns. The thresholds on some of these, like 50,000 for singles, 100,000 for married, and then especially securities. And then the Form 114 for foreign bank account reporting. Another form. One has to do with more with cash, and the other one has more to do with assets. So that's where you get into securities. Now, if you put your money into real estate, I don't believe you have to list that. It mainly they're looking for cash or a cash equivalent. So if you got money, I suppose buy some real estate overseas, and apparently you won't have to report it. Non-compliance, real heavy. You can have up to 50% penalty for not reporting this stuff. So, and of course, the more you have overseas and that reporting, the higher it's going to be, the percentage. So it's important that you, and like I said, the big emphasis they're going to this year, really, they're pushing it. So I'm going to say if the penalties are nasty and they're hard to, ignorance is no excuse. Maybe the first year you might be able to, but you know, for repeated non-filers of these forms, it's going to be very expensive. And then they can also probably go after those funds, they can like go after these funds and get them, what do you call it, repertoire,
Patriated,
repertoire or whatever back here. So
patriated.
yeah, so I mean that's another thing that they can do is you don't want to give them the money overseas, they'll go get it. So it's just follow the rules and you should be okay. Next screen.
Well, let me go back. Hold on.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Oh,
We
yeah,
did that one.
Okay, here's some of the phase outs on some of these deductions. Like, oops, sorry.
Go back one, Sanford.
Back one. Back? That's this.
He wants the thresholds for the phase out there. Nope.
Yeah, here we go.
There.
Okay. Yeah, AGI phase out thresholds. This is basically once you can get these up to get to once you get the threshold, they're phase up, so they're or phase down, I should say. So lower the income, and then as you get higher income, the amount of the credit will go down. And once you reach these certain income levels, taxable income levels, they cease. A child tax credit goes up to 400,000. Big thing with the advance credits, people are getting notices that these advance credits or credits they got from the government on this stuff this year, they're going to have to report on their income tax. So it's it's almost like unemployment compensation too. They're getting all these people getting the money, and then they find out that they got to report this income. Earned income credits, up to 400,000 max, but again that it phases down real quick. But that's it. Dependent care credit, which is good. Like for some of our members who have maybe taken care of your parents, this is a good thing. You can get dependent care if they live in your home. And so got several of our clients that are getting money because they're, and a lot of times they have this, it's almost full time taking care of some of the older folks. So, and then you can get like up to, 20% credit over 43,000.
Question.
But it's available. It's great for if you're stuck at home because you got to take care of an older folks. It's a great credit.
Question, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the dependent care credit, is that telling me that anything under 43,000 is no credit, and anything over 43,000 I get 20% off, even if I make 300,000? It may start phasing out at 43, but so I get 20% up to 43.
Well, yeah, the old story, don't quote me, but I check into it, but it's available, and there is a limit, and so they say, I don't want to mislead you, so I'll just say
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's something you can take advantage of, and if you're in that situation, and take a look at it. Or I can come back to. I'll look into it next month, and I can follow up with on that. American Opportunity Credit, great for education, college, especially the kids, as long as you take them as a dependent. If the kids file their own tax return, then split. If you're taking these kids, as dependents, like, yeah, you can get the credit for that, or they can file their own tax returns and take the credit. IRA deductions, again, up to 124. There's a limit, 6,500. But yeah, you can go ahead and take the IRA deductions. Even if you're in your employer has, yeah, I was gonna say your employer has a pension for you. Well, you may be able to take advantage of those. Roth, of course, with an IRA, you get the deduction, but then when you take the money out later, you have to report as income. Now with the Roth, of course, you don't get the deduction. There is how much you can contribute every year, but then of course when you take the money out, you don't have to pay taxes on it. Go back one. I guess I get one more to go. Oh yeah, and then as far as 401k backs, IRA contributions, 401k 19.5 or whatever, and then the other one Roth was 13.5. Okay, new items this year. Well, and some of the other stuff, miscellaneous items. Your net, they charge you the net investment tax comes in. And then and you'll see it, and it comes and that goes of a percentage up to your 400,000 threshold. And then there's higher tax. Then of course no IRA deduction over 400,000 taxable income. They're adding the employer retention credit. I've got some employers that are going back last year and missed it in 20. They're going to go back and get it in 21. Form 8300, like I said, all cash transfers over 10,000 are supposed to be reported to the IRS. Ouch. The unemployment-based tax exclusion they had last year, like you could ignore the first 10,400, it's like forgiven, or not forgiven, but not, you'd have to report as income. Well, that's gone. So all your unemployment this year, you're going to have to report. The additional child's credit up to 3,000. Which is nice. You said Form 8812, but that gets phased out too. I think we should get up to like 75,000 or whatever. That's gone. Just like some of the college tuition gets phased out too for your kids. Dependent care allowance allowed. Now, especially with family life changes, they're allowing more of that. People get divorced and all the other things. So, dependent cares, well, they're making it more lenient. And then Form 6419, advanced tax credit. Another one, and then Form 8012 adds your CTC payments. somebody's got to see what CTC stands for, and I forget. No, child tax credit. That's what it is. Advanced tax credit and format of additional added child tax credit payments. That's what that is. Okay, next one, Stanford.
Let's see. We got this one. Let me make sure I got them all.
Okay, yeah.
You did this.
Yeah, we would. Okay. Some other phase out. Okay. Yeah, we got that. Okay. Yeah.
We did this slide.
Yeah, all right. Oh, yeah. Rental past losses. If you have rental property, you're renting out a house to some people. Once you reach 150,000 over taxable income, you can't deduct the rental losses, and that's you get a percentage of those. But basically, for a lot of taxpayers who, have the money to be able to have rental property, and they can't take the losses, but they are cumulative. And then when you sell the property, you can add those total the losses that you can't take, to the original cost or basis. So you'll get the losses, but you have to wait till you sell the property. Next one. Some tax return dates. March 15th, I didn't, sometimes if it's a weekend, it could be a day or two later or whatever, but I get into that. March 15th for partnerships, which are LLCs, and partnerships, S Corps. April 15th, individuals and regular corporations, C Corps. Basically, March 15th are your pass-throughs, where the income goes from the business, gets passed to your personal return. When the C Corp is an individual itself, and it pays taxes, and corporations, they give out salaries and they give out dividends. So they're not pass-throughs. April 15th also for trusts and estates. May 15th for nonprofits, a lot like CCS organization. If September 15th, you get 6-month extension on partnership. Well, 5. You get the 6-month extension on partnerships, S Corps, LLCs, and then October 15th, 6 months on extension from April 15th on individuals and C Corps or your regular corporations. Next. Some additional tips. Okay, standard deduction. It's about 6,000 a person. So married couple, I get 12. And then when you figure your taxes, you take itemized deductions. If it's greater than the standard deduction, it's terrific. Otherwise, you get the standard deduction. So whichever is better, you take. They still have the state and local tax limit of max 10. Now that hurts because you have property tax in there, and you also have your state withholding or your state income tax in there. So many people are way over the 10,000 mark. And like in New York and California, they're really fighting that and trying to, but they're apparently not going to do it. They're going to budge. Capital gain rate is 15%, and then it goes to 20% if your adjusted gross income is over 496. But that's great for, capital gain is anything like over a year that you've held it, so which is good. New thing this year, well, last couple of years, section 199A, it's called the qualified business expense. It's a nice deduction on your personal return. The nice thing about it is what it does is it's a government's attempt to reduce the business taxes down to the personal tax rate. So, which is great because your business corporate rates are a lot higher than some of the personal rates. So the government is trying to equalize for business people. They pay the taxes as the same as regular individuals. Standard mileage rate is I think 57.5 cents per mile, which per mile. Which is a nice deduction for the business use of your car. Now, the IRS is getting tough on. They want you to keep it, like if you're using your car for business, they want a diary. I mean, people. They want like where your trip was, how many miles, maybe who you saw, what you did. I talked to IRS agents. They said basically nobody, they audit has a diary or a complete diary, and they'll hammer you and say, "Hey, you don't have a diary. We're going to disallow your business mileage." So try and keep as either maybe in the odometer, the beginning mileage, ending mileage on trips or whatever. So they got you. They go to IRS and they say, "Hey, you don't have a diary. We're going to disallow. You're not following the rules." So people really get mad about that. Social Security wage base. They stopped taking the Social Security out of your check, or the employer pays at I think it's 137,700 last year. This year, but the Medicare 2.9% continues on unlimited, but the 6.2% Social Security part caps out around 137. Additional except defined contributions, max 157. That could be a sliding scale too on that, but they do max out. And then, here we go. 401k max and IRA contribution max 19.5 and 13.5. That's Okay, we got the foreign cash covered. Good. We got all this covered. Good. All business. You got okay. This is what I'm talking about before. I can send you the latest one. Good. ATX. We use it. It's great. You type in yourself, kind of like John was talking about the TurboTax now, where you can just type it in. And you can see what you're getting. So, but most people have no clue how to fill out the forms. So, it's. But if you're able to do it, terrific. We put the software and type the stuff in, but we still look them over just to make sure we know where everything should be and where, and even. So we always give a final check on everything, because sometimes stuff ends up where you have to be surprised, and you got to be careful on the words. One word, what you may mean may be different than the IRS meaning of it, and so that's part of the problem with when the computer decides where to put it for you. usually they're right, but sometimes big items could be a problem. The other item, like I said, CCS or CS, it converts, it basically converts from the accounting software Intuit Pro Series. Okay, I mean, anything Microsoft is Intuit good. And the CCA Pro system, it's difficult to use. So, I mean, if you're really sophisticated, but, I would say for the average, not so good. Next one, Sanford, you should get the first, oh yeah, individual. TurboTax, like $90. The gentleman said they've got modern, more sophisticated, but basically you answer the questions and it decides where those items go.
Hey, comment?
What?
A comment?
Yeah.
I downloaded TurboTax online and paid $35. It was
Well,
TurboTax,
that was
TurboTax Deluxe.
the full version. Most of this is all full version with everything.
Right.
So, if you're just one and you're going to do,
The TurboTax,
but
TurboTax
this is full, full boat.
TurboTax Deluxe
block,
is anything that we want, I think, unless you have a business.
Well, I mean, you got rental income, you've got,
then it's different.
All kinds of, you got a lot of stock transactions. I mean, there's, all kinds of different stuff. So,
Deluxe handles stock transactions.
what?
Deluxe handles stocks transactions, but it won't handle rental.
Well, most of the bigger brokers are pretty good on their, especially like day traders, with all their volume. I mean, the printouts are pretty decent. It's got the, what the price is, or the sale price, and they have the cost. And the problem is a lot of times people have held stocks for longer, so maybe they've had them 20, 30 years or whatever, and then trying to figure out what the original cost was is well, takes some work. And I don't think I would look too much at those, unless it's a big dollar amount, but usually just some kind of reasonable guess at what the original cost was is probably, and then of course stuff splits and we can even have a reverse split, but so it gets, so how many shares you bought 20 years ago, today, it takes some work. And the tax, the cheaper ones, well, you get what you pay for. With the cheaper ones. So if you're using them, be careful. Look, and if you can, look over the return to make sure it looks right. Because, like I said, sometimes people think, oh, the computer did it, so it must be right. Well, no. Garbage in, garbage out, and they come in. I'm talking to some guy like me, and then they're looking at the old returns and say, "Boy, did you overpay?" Well, yeah. If people, if they got refunds, they do file amended returns. If they owe, not a lot, but kind of forget about them. And then if they do have a big refund coming, they'll file it. But and of course you don't get if you're late, like in estimated payments and taxes, and they're quick, IRS is quick to, Illinois too, to slap penalties and interest on. But now if you get refunds, they will give you interest for, if they've held on to your, it turns out they've held on to your money for at least a year or more or whatever, you'll at least get some interest with the refund.
That's it.
Okay, guys. Any questions? And I'll do my best. If I don't know, I'll try and find an answer for you. like they said, the IRS said this year, e-file if you can, and do direct deposit. I don't know if you owe, I was thinking, electronic payments for individuals, other than a manual check. Bert, what do you think on other than, some kind of a transfer rather than a paper check for if you owe your taxes?
You
Well, of
mean
course,
electronic funds?
What do you think, Bert? I mean, obviously, you rather write a check about maybe if you owe a lot, do an electronic deposit, or for your taxes due.
well, it doesn't matter what method you pay. It matters that you filed on time, which cuts the penalties to only the money that you owe. So there's extra penalties for filing late, which are bigger than the interest penalties. But the reality is that if you file electronically, in theory, they say they'll get you a refund. So if you have a refund coming, people want to get their money first. If you have a penalty coming where you have to pay money, you want to hold off as long as you can. But in the end, all the commercials and the fraud claims that you see on telephone and on TV about how you don't have to pay the IRS are just that fraud, and you're the one who gets penalized.
Oh yeah, all of these optimum tax and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. The other thing too is it used to be the IRS either had to give a refund in 6 weeks or else send you a letter saying why they're not going to issue the refund. Maybe there's some issue they want to investigate. But those rules are out because we have taxpayers that filed like last June and still haven't got their refund. So they're running way behind in issuing refund. And they blame it because they were putting out all the these PPP payments and slowed up their system, or that's their excuse. But people are waiting 9 months for the refunds. So it's, yeah.
I think you also want to understand that if you filed paper returns, I don't think they've even processed some from 2019 yet. There's 6 million file returns out there. They just never opened the envelopes because of the COVID stuff.
Well, they do. They I think they record. They get the return. Let's say a corporate return. They'll put the date, log. They'll just log in. They got a corporate return on this date or whatever. They'll pull the checks out and cash those. And then, they'll just store them, and they do them by day. They'll put all the returns for that day, and then they take the earliest bag or whatever. But
that's for the people who owed money and sent a check in. Those they file first, they open first. But the ones who didn't owe any money, they're still sitting in piles.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, they do. But the other thing they have to do it is they have a problem. Like when you go to get a mortgage, they have the 4506T. And obviously one of the things the mortgage companies won't require is that, they verify that the transaction or the tax return that you show them was filed. So at least they have to be able to say, hey, we got a return from Joe Smith on this date or whatever. And they don't give any numbers or anything else like that. But at least now people will give the mortgage company one copy of the return, and then of course they'll file another copy, and of course the IRS will not acknowledge that the dollar amounts on the return until they process it, which could be 6-9 months later. So it's making hell for mortgage companies.
Let me bring up one more thing. For people who were tax preparers this year, the IRS has gone even crazier. They require checklists and notes for everything that's discussed with the taxpayer to be held by the preparer for review by the IRS auditors at some point in the future if they choose to. So everything that you say and submit, and what you say, somebody says, how much was your contribution or whatever, they have to write all that down and keep those records this year to keep the IRS happy. And they've never been quite so forceful about it as they are right now.
Yeah,
Terrible.
the problem is they don't have the personnel to, I mean, all the stuff they say they want, whatever, they don't have the personnel. That's part of the $80 billion or something was supposed to go to the IRS. And of course, that bill didn't get passed. But and they were, Biden was going to say they wanted every transaction over $600 or something like that to be sent into the IRS or for potential review. But of course, that's not going anywhere. But yeah, I mean, you know. Well, they talk tough. Well, they got to talk tough. I mean, it's a voluntary system. People send in their taxes, and if they didn't try to be nasty, people say, "Yeah, I don't feel like I filed my taxes this year. You know, I'll skip or whatever." So, you know, they got to act tough.
There's a famous quote by Harry Reid once upon a time, who said, "You don't have to pay your taxes; it's voluntary." Move on.
The other thing is that, you know, for the last few years, there's been so much fraud, ID fraud, for people claiming refunds for other people by filing false returns before somebody can file their own. And therefore changing the address and getting their refund directly before you can get your own. And so there's a lot of ID theft in terms of people using your social security number that's out there, and it's something to be prepared for.
No, you're right. No, because we've had them where they file return and they already have they said they already have a return. I did one where the guy was married and worked for a company, and somebody else filed a return, just him single, changed the address, and made a phony W-2 up for the return from, it was called Mohawk Manufacturing or something like that, which there isn't. And then of course the IRS has, like I said, 6 weeks to pay out, and so they pay them out, and yeah, and then so what? And they have a special box where we asked, they said, hey, take the real return, have the taxpayer sign them, and email them to a special post office box in Washington, D.C., where they investigate these. Eventually,
this year, they're also doing something else. If you have questions about your return and you want to talk directly to the IRS, they're asking for your picture to go with that request. That's a new thing. I haven't seen the details yet, but that's a new thing that they're going to be doing. So when you have a question about your return and you want to talk to the IRS directly, you're going to have to set up an ID with your picture.
It's not just a picture. You also have to have some kind of an accompanying video so they can do like facial recognition comparison to make sure you are you in even the video.
well, and all the documents now I got to turn in just to get my driver's license renewed. My God, you know, they got like 4 different kinds of IDs that I got to go in just to get my driver's license renewed. Good Lord, you know.
Yeah, but you can go.
Good old state of Illinois, huh? Oh. Well.
Fun world.
Anything else anyone wanted to add to Terry's presentation?
Well, I thank you for your attention, and sorry for my PowerPoint failure, but well,
It worked.
that's me.
Thanks,
Okay.
Terry.
Let me see. February, March. So March is Lee Lannert. We've yet to get a topic from Lee Lannert, and I need to touch base with him for next month's meeting. I will do that. And anybody else have any last comments or questions or things they would like us to talk about? I'd like to remind everybody, if you don't already know, which most everybody does, that we do have a YouTube channel. Please go to it. You received a link in our meeting announcement of where it is. It's at the very top. Make sure you bookmark that link and please subscribe. Please subscribe to that to our YouTube channel. This is where I'll be posting all of our videos from past and present. So you get to rewatch them again. I did ask the group for people to watch one video that's not have any statement of what the topics are at the bottom. Nobody has done that yet. Please watch one video and then send me some information about what's in that video. Send it to me, sanford@core.com, and then I'll be happy to put that information in there to index that particular video, because there are many in there that I have not been able to watch or don't know what the content is. So please take some time, just look and see how often it's been viewed. If there's nothing listed under there what the topic is, just watch that video from beginning to end and let me know what the topics were that we talked about, and I'll update it. Anybody else? Bob, I'm still waiting for your notes.
Yeah, I had other things come up. Speaking
I
of driver's
understand.
driver's license renewals.
Life gets in the way, and driver's license renewal, I don't know what it's like out there in Massachusetts, but it's not too bad in Illinois if you're just renewing. But if you want to get that golden star,
it's a real ID issue.
you want the real ID issue, then you need to come up with more documentation. I will say that I went and did it after I went through the checklist and verified it. It was in and out in no time. It was like 10, 15 minutes. I was out of the place.
The trouble is I let it slide, and they sent the notice 15 days before the license would expire. So I ended up getting a regular renewal, and that arrived 1 day before expiration. And now later this month, I have to upgrade to the real ID, so I don't get the free upgrade. I have to pay them again.
Got it. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's on purpose.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Massachusetts is a different state there. It's a different.
Yeah. Well, our RMV and your DMV, not too different in how they do things.
I will say that ours is pretty good. People give it a lot of hard times, but I've never had a problem with our DMV. The people have always been courteous. Of course, I haven't had to take a driving test, so I don't know what that's like. But for the most part, they're very courteous, easy to get through, good professionals.
Yeah. So when I get a chance, I'll dig up my notes.
Okay. Terry already left, so I guess we can't ask him any more questions about taxes. Anyone else?
Terry's there.
I'm sorry. Oh, he is there. I'm sorry. I missed him. Terry.
Maybe go around.
I didn't see you. You were hiding in the corner. Anyone else have any last questions for Terry about tax season? When is personal income taxes due, Terry?
I think it was April 18th this year. I think it's normally 15th, but the weekend, and Massachusetts has Patriots Day or something, so they made it the 18th, I think. Yeah.
The 18th. Okay.
Yeah, our Patriots Day is actually on the 18th.
Yeah.
But that only affects state.
Bob, yeah.
Yeah, that only affects state matters. That does
what
not
is
affect
Patriot
federal.
Day?
No, the federal too.
Bob,
Yeah,
what is
well-
Patriot Day?
Patriots Day is celebrated on the 18th. It is the date when the so-called shot heard around the world was fired in Lexington on the Commons. And that marked the beginning of the Revolutionary War. And we have parades and we have a marathon near that time, except that it's usually getting delayed these days. And the Boston Marathon really ties up traffic everywhere. They block all the roads. And then that would mean the 19th would be the next day of business, Tuesday.
Okay.
Mail doesn't get delivered or anything. And they have a little reenactment that goes on up in Lexington.
And they fire one shot.
No, they actually reenact the whole battle up there. There were 8 patriots killed in that day.
Have you been to this reenactment?
Yeah, once or twice.
Oh, okay. Good.
They have a drum and fife corps up there. They have several drum and fife corps, but they use one of them, and they have reenactors in costume.
Okay. All right. Any other last comments or questions for tonight's presentation and our meeting? Any other topics people would like us to cover that are not covered?